And there we are. We are rocking and rolling live on a Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening, unless you're Phil. It's what, Wednesday morning there?
Wednesday morning, yeah. At 10
Yes,
o'clock.
10 o'clock on a Wednesday down in Australia. My name is TJ Zeville. I call myself a professional problem solver, which I always follow up with, no, I don't know everything. I just have this unique way of asking questions. And I've got lots of background, crazy different influences that help me figure out ways to wiggle and wind my way through to help you find the answers to questions you may have. For those of you on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, hi, Mom. And what else? We got a website. Do have a website. It is thetswb.com, the tall, skinny white boy.com. That is actually what it stands for. And started something new this year where it's a different tie every week. So introducing tonight's tie, Bugs on the plane delivering.
Very awesome.
And what else we got? I do give a free 30-minute consultation. That's your time to get a hold of me, ask me anything, chit chat, whatever. And if you got some challenges you're up against, you got questions you're looking answers for, I will do my best to make sure that we're a fit. If we are fit, I will let you know. If we're not a fit, I will also let you know and do my best to find somebody that can help you with the things you're looking for. I offer corporate coaching. I work with athletes from beginner all the way up to the professional grade. I help people with depression, anxiety, phobias, PTSD, relationships. Oh, if we got stuff from relationships tonight. Been a crazy week. But enough about me. Like the way I like to start these things out, if this is your first time or first time watching the video, the first hour I've got some topics I have downloaded from the ether. And I go over those for the first hour. Second hour is open mic, open platform. Anybody on the call can ask a question, bring up a topic, and I let everybody on the call answer first because I still like to learn. And if I still have 2 cents to add to the answers, then I will do that when everybody else is done. Another thing I like to do is ask everybody, is there anything you'd like to share from the last time we saw each other? Any ahas, epiphanies, cool stuff?
So for a second, as you can see, I've been having camera issues for a while. I'm experimenting with the avatar to at least have something on camera. I know it's a little cheesy, but I just will say this week I had a couple of what would be considered very, very minor breakthroughs for most people. And in the past, I would have kind of reached out to my people that are probably critics. They're good people. I have them in my life for a reason. But this time, fortunately, TJ was nice enough to let me reach out, and like the positive response and encouragement I got for what felt like a tiny thing, like I had the best rush the next day. So my takeaway is, be careful who you share things with, and even though they may seem small, it's the change. It's a change, and the fact that it's a change is what matters, not necessarily the size of the change. So
that is awesome. Glad you shared that. Anybody else got anything?
Seeing as I've been sitting around a lot over the last week or two, I have been working on myself quietly. Because of my illness, I've had some short-term memory loss, which will come back, I firmly believe, but I've been working on that. Just working on remaining calm, and extending myself out. And I've been using one phrase: am I aware? Just that, and you just working out, well, am I aware? Am I actually aware? Am I, was this or this or this or this or this trying to invade? So just trying to.
You locked up for just a bit, but we got the gist of it. I am.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no! Don't be so. Dude, the fact that we're having this conversation on two different sides of the globe, and with what you've survived and what you've gone through, I am so blessed to have you here.
Yeah.
So awesome! Good to see your face.
Yeah. And yours,
Jeremy. Good to see your face too, my brother.
Hey there, how's it going?
Going
hey,
well.
Everybody. I worked with TJ a little bit ago, and it was extremely effective. And so I've been lurking around in a few different things, and I heard about the super friends here that join every once in a while, and so I thought I'd drop in and say hi. I don't really have a lot of time today, but I just wanted to at least get in here and put my shoe in there.
Thank you for dropping by. I sure appreciate any time you can invest with us. Anybody else before we dive into the topics?
I had a small epiphany traveling in Florida, visiting a little town called Mount Dora, and the wife and I went out for lunch. And boy, if you ever want to feel young, I mean, I'm in my 60s, and I thought I was the youngest person at the restaurant. I'm walking down the street, and we're like the youngest couple walking, hand in hand down the street. I was like, wow, if I ever want to just feel young, I get to come to Mount Dora during the day. Perspective, I guess, So it was quite a, it was like, wow, there's a bunch of old people here, Just a random thought,
But you got to watch out. Some of them don't realize that they're old. They're just like us. Their bodies aged more than their mind did. I was visiting a friend in Sun City in Arizona, which is another, you're just born if you're like 55. But they party. They may go to bed at 9, but they're up early, and you better be on your toes to keep up with them. I think it's probably because they look at their timeline and go, I got that much left. I think I'm going to live at full throttle, but I'm still going to go to bed by 9.
What's that song? Where the Cuban gentlemen sleep all day, so it's probably so they can party all night.
Yep. Priorities, man.
Absolutely.
Anybody else got anything they want to share before we dive into this week's topics? Yes, no, Bueller. Going once, going twice. Sold. Time to go. All right. Tonight's topics. Living during the wait. Holding the frame. And who uses who. Without further ado, living during the wait. This one came out of one of my Triple P clients. For those of you that are tuning in first time or watching the recording, my Triple P protocol is Perfect Partner Protocol. And mainly for those that are looking for a relationship, but I've also had a number of clients who were in a relationship trying to figure out how to improve it. And with this one, This client has basically graduated the first year triple P, which has a lot of self-work in it, and I'm uber proud of her. And she's got it. She figured it out. And now she is no longer, how can I put it? She's not waiting for her king, or she's not desperate for her king. She's waiting for him to get himself together. She hasn't met him yet. She's not worried about it because she loves herself so much now that if it took 10 years for him to show up, it wouldn't matter because she has learned how to live on her terms as much as she wants, the way she wants, unapologetically, and she realized how easy it is to meet people. And so I came up with living during the wait. So many of us who, even if you're in a relationship, you remember back when you weren't in one, unless you're one like one of the guys I worked for who met his wife when he was like 12, and that was the only, they'd been together since they were 12. Okay, dude, that wasn't me. I was the one that, in and out of relationships and all that stuff, and seemed like when you were in a relationship, it was so easy to talk to the opposite sex, and they wanted to talk to you and make your girlfriend jealous and all the above, and here's my number, and I can't call you because I have her. And then as soon as you broke up and you're single, crickets. I joke that you couldn't get somebody to give you a phone number if you paid them, and if you paid them, they'd give you 555-1212. And this would go on, and you'd be in that dry spell, that dry slump, until you finally met somebody, or unfortunately finally lowered your standards enough to call somebody your person, because they probably lowered their standards enough to do the same. And then you're mentally off the market, and you pull up to the stop sign or the stoplight, and they're coming out of the woodwork. The person next to you jumps out of their car, runs around, gives you your phone number with your person sitting right there. You're like, what? Where were you like a month? And they're hot. Like, whew. But it's that energy of desperation that repelled everybody. And as soon as you drop that, you're no longer in lack. You're no longer in a state of mind of needing. You have. And so what happened with my client now, she's figured that out at the level of a triple P graduation. And she met this guy, and they're having a great time. He's proven that he's not her king. But the cool part is he's the best one so far. Okay, we'll just pause for this. There we go. You know the cool part about that? Seeing things like that anybody that witnesses things like that gets the boost out of it as well. PDAs, public display of affection.
That's my bride.
Hey, I can tell because you were grinning like a villain before she hugged you and right after you she hugged you. So, but this is also part of why when I work with clients who are in a relationship, I remind them relationships are a challenge because it's not a one and done, set and go. You're still growing, you're still living, you're still evolving. And if you're not keeping track of that other person, where you're at with them, it's super easy to drift. And one of my clients who was on the verge of a divorce, I think I shared this last week or week before, her journal for her king is well hidden. She's doing it properly. Every week she goes back and adds to it, reviews it and everything. And she said, if I thought for a second he would be able to find it, I would have swore he read it and decided he was going to do everything that I've been putting in there. And I said, yes, because you have that connection when you're in that type of a field with us understanding that humans put out a signal that's measurable 8 foot in diameter. Well, if you ever are 15 feet away from another human being, those fields are already starting to overlap and interconnect. When you start putting down the changes for your person with the best intention, out of the love and the vision that you want for the future for the two of you, it's not too hard to understand why the other person is able to pick up on some of that, whether they're cognitive or not. All of a sudden they're like, maybe I should start doing this, or, maybe I shouldn't talk like this so much. And she said she didn't bring it up. It's just part of the research from Triple P. Because every interaction that you have with humans in their natural environment is research. Once you understand Triple P. If somebody did something that bothers you, rather than going, prick, you start getting this, I think I called it protective empathy. Those of us that have worked on ourselves start looking at these things going, they've got a story. What was it about that bothered me? Why did I react the way I did? And for the people that are in Triple P, now they add that to their journal. Either I don't like that, and my person wouldn't have that trait, or I really did like that, my person would have that trait. And you start building this living journal. And just like with the emotional refractory period, the more you start paying attention to it, the more you see it. And the better you can choose, where do you want to apply your energy? Just like when I was in the hospital a couple weeks ago, I was the patient that blew them away because they know I'm in pain, but I'm laughing and joking, and I had a couple of the physician's assistants laughing so hard they could barely focus on what they were doing. But I'm like, I have to be here regardless. I would rather be here laughing through my pain than focusing on my pain. Time's going to pass anyway. I was living during the wait to get better, living during the wait to get out of there on my terms. And I love how Phil brought up before we got started here that he had some medical professionals try to tell him something they suspected. And he's like, no, that's not true. Well, we're the professionals. How do you know? Because a professional that I trust and know more than you already proved a week ago that is not an option. That is not possible. And I will not allow that idea to enter my psyche, to enter me. That is not in me. I do not accept your truth, and I will be living through the wait. I will be living during the wait while I get this other issue taken care of. Right, my friend? Did I state correct?
Beautifully. It actually just reminded me of a quote that I quite often will pull out of a film. It was The Last Samurai, and the master was teaching the student, and he went to do something and did it wrong, and the master came over and said, mind on this, mind on the girls, mind on his over to the side, mind on here. Too many minds, one mind.
Yep.
And it works in so many different ways and different things.
Yes. In fact, I went in for my checkup today, and I'm still oh my gosh, because of the work they did on my leg, and it's taken a while to heal, and I've got one lump that's about this high, about that big around of pressure underneath the skin, and they were going to do an ultrasound today, and the ultrasound guy came in. He's met me before, and he's like, "Whoa!" I went, "Yep, going to be a challenge for you. Got 5 areas of no touchy. You no touchy here, you no touchy here, no touchy here, no there, or there." He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get the doc." I went, "That's okay. Yeah, I thought so, but I wanted to show up anyway." And again, it's living during the wait. I know it's not going to be too much longer till I'm going to be back jumping around, doing crazy stuff, dancing and living life. This is just temporary. And when they found out that I'm not taking any painkillers, they're like, "Whoa, we could get you about the best we could give you is this." And I said, "You guys tried giving me 3 different things in the hospital that were supposed to be amazing that barely touched my sore throat. And if it can't touch a sore throat, trying to take away the pain in my leg is like throwing cotton balls hoping that you're going to kill a warrior. Take that." Well, like, you know what? I understand pain management because I teach it and I offer it. And yes, it's a tad more challenging to be the driver and the passenger in the vehicle at the same time. And when that pain spike hits you, you kind of forget who's the driver, who's the passenger. You're like, whoa, okay, back to the wheel. But I know that it's, again, just a little flicker in time in my entire timeline. I like that, Lenora, yes, but it's not impossible, because even that statement, impossible, I am possible.
Definitely.
Yes. Any inputs, ahas, epiphanies that you guys like to share on that? Are we ready to switch to topic? Or, oh, Holly.
It is just racing with thoughts. So one of the things that kind of came up, just this idea of, so when I was in physical therapy, this is just kind of on the idea of the pain, but this is getting through the waiting as well, I think, too. But she would always tell me, be curious about the pain. And I think you've added to that, and you've said, be playful with the pain. And between those two things, I'm not running from the pain. And then one of the things that I kind of was thinking as you were talking about waiting is, in the waiting period, it's a different phase of your life. But if you just sit there and wait, there are things in every phase of your life that you can't do in other phases of your life. And so, if you're looking for a job and you're unemployed, take this time to do things that you can't do when you have a regular employment. If you're waiting for your person and you're single, take the time to do the things you can't do when you're going to be in a relationship. So there's always something you could be exploring, and there's something you could be curious about. There's something you could be playful about, no matter what area you're in. And then just one other thing that kind of popped into my head too. This has been there several times, and probably lots of people are already doing this. But just the idea of, we've got our 3 journals of my person, my income sources, and my tribe. But there's a 4th journal that I've been feeling like I should write. And this one, I think, is just a little bit too vulnerable, is the reason I've been avoiding it, but it's time for me to do it. It's come up too many times. My future me. That's somebody else I'm also going to meet in the future.
Awesome.
So I need to start doing that journal.
That is so cool. In fact, writing that down. Yep. That's why I like to also be quiet and hear things from people, because all right. Anybody else got anything they want to share on that? Okay, please.
I thought it was great. I love the idea, especially because I love that it doesn't just translate to triple pay. It translates to everything.
Yes.
Especially, even our own blocks, rather than finding them as painful. I love what Holly said, is to be curious about them, explore them, and be playful with them. How else might we be able to manipulate them?
And I'm glad Holly brought up both of you brought up pain, because it reminded me, while I'm in the hospital room, I was retraining the staff that were coming in. They right up there on the board, what's your pain level? 1 to 10, the different phases of faces and everything. And I said, do you know that that's out of date? And they're like, what? I said, stop asking people what their pain level is. Ask them what their comfort level is. 1 to 10. 10, I'm amazing, I'm healthy, I'm good to go. 1, I'm miserable. Because when you switch that reframe, what's your comfort level, even when they are feeling, and I wasn't feeling good for a couple of times, and my nurse came in and said, "What's your comfort level?" And I went, "Between a 2 and a 3." It's a switch, because when you have to describe that you're feeling miserable using a low number, it already helps your conscious and subconscious go, but that's kind of low. We'll be good. When somebody says, "What's your pain level?" and you say 8 or 9, that's a high number. That validates the pain. That's why when we work for pain management with clients and stuff, we will ask them, what's your comfort level today? And what would you like to do about it? What will it be like when you're back to being a 10? What was it like when you were a 10? And you can start pulling a reframe off of that reference. And I like how Lenora put in reframe also. Here's a good question to ask, other than, how's your day? How good is your day, or how great is your day? Because again, nothing means anything until you give it a label. So even in what's your comfort level, in discomfort, you still have the word comfort in there. I can be quite, even right now sitting here, I'm not at a 9. I still have a little discomfort, but it's way better than it was 2 weeks ago. Just saying.
I have been going through that exact thing. And they still, how's your pain level? And I keep saying -3. And they go, what? I said, it's -3. Work it out. And they just wander off. They stopped asking me now. So I could just, it's up to me to manage my pain. It's up to me to make what I need to get through where I'm going. You come up and ask me, I'll just give you random, I'm -25. What? And they just look off. It's not in the medical model. That does not compute.
Yes.
And as much as I'd like to sit down and teach, there's a morning shift and there's an afternoon shift, and then there's a night shift, and then you go back, and day one is now the next crowd is, and then the next crowd, and then the next crowd. So it's just a constant. Oh, hello. Who are you?
Yes. Let me teach you something.
Yes, sir.
Which is the perfect segue into the second topic, unless anybody else has anything else they want to add to this.
Yeah, actually, TJ, I'd like to give you a plug here.
Oh,
Is
please.
that one of the things that TJ had me do when we last did it was kind of like, Holly, what you were thinking about doing is writing about my future self. And it was the end of 2024, it was January 1. He had me write down exactly what happened that year. And I did it, TJ. And not only did I do it, I spent like a few minutes on it, right? You can make it as verbose as you like, I think, but spent a little bit of time on it, and then it got me thinking, and I started writing a bunch on it. I really did a lot of detail on that, and so the idea behind it is what happened that year? What happened with your career? What happened with your family? What happened with you? I got two kids, 2 and 6. And like, what happened last year that created the relationship that you have today, which is way better than that. All these, and it prompts you for scenarios on what happened. And I can't believe how much it shifted my mindset on my daily mindset, not even about what it's going to be like this great thing of what it's going to be in the end. It shifted my perspective on how I work my daily, and on that one piece with the kids, it's like, it was about playing. I mean, I'm busy, and then they get home at 5, and then they get still young. So it's like, I get an hour and a half with my kid, and I'm just like, I'm not playing with her when she gets home. And it shifted, and now I play with her. I peel myself away. I'm in playing with her. I'm engaging with her. And it all came from writing about my future self and what happened over the year. And it's not even, there's so many ways that helped me, TJ. I mean, I'm just blown away at how powerful that was. and so anybody here, I mean, I and there's all these things I'm doing. I'm trying to get better in my career. I'm trying to get my values straight. I'm doing all this work, but that one was just key to pulling everything together, because I'm focused on the things that I want to happen next year, and I have a plan inside of my head, the vision that I have that I'm able to live out every single day. And so I don't know, I just wanted to add that.
Wow. Thank you. Mark.
Well, I was just thinking, first I thought, well, everybody knows the autonomizer, but Dr. David teaches it. And if you ask somebody, what level is your pain or emotional pain or whatever, but and say your pain level, you can ask yourself that question, my pain level to 2. Oh, why isn't it higher? You ask the counterintuitive question, and then your brain starts generating reasons why, and you can manage your pain level the same way you can manage your emotional level by asking the counterintuitive question and get your cognitive mind to start generating more reasons. Well, I'm in the right place. I'm getting the right care. And you can manage your pain level by generating more reasons why it isn't higher. So you could use the autonomizer for pain management as well.
Absolutely. There's so much stuff out there. And beyond pills and all the above. So, and that's why we do this, share this with people, let them know. And again, Jeremy, thank you. Had me a little choked up there. Love hearing success stories, especially on that level. So, anybody else got anything before we switch topics? On to holding the frame, which Phil kind of brought up in a way where part of, like when I teach my class, Identity Management University, aka IMU, bless you, and is understanding that the people that are going to have the hardest time with you changing are your friends and family, because they're pretty sure they know who you are supposed to be, and they're afraid of you changing because, well, if you're going to change, where does that leave them? And so they're going to question and push and prod and try and get you back into that little box that they designed for you. And one of the things that Dr. David teaches a lot is the person who holds the frame the longest wins. Meaning that you can be, act, do whatever you want. And when you start getting the pushback, that's one way to know that you've actually changed. You've accomplished change that's noticeable. The question is, are you going to be strong enough to hold it long enough for people that know you the best to accept it? And so part of doing the journaling, and I'm so glad that Holly brought up my future me, because that ties right in, is my future me very potentially could end up being a frame war with friends, family, colleagues, and all the above. Because I want to take myself to this level. I want to become a different person. I want to act differently. I want to achieve this. I want to do this. I have this amazing business idea that I'm going to implement. And pretty soon, that's when all the friends and family are like, whoa, 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 hey, who are you? Who are you? What have you done with so-and-so? And you have to be able to look at those goals. And like Jeremy brought up with writing out, what is your year going to look like? That's why I have my clients get that year planner and go straight to January 1st, 2025 and write that little story. What happened in 2024? As though you've already lived it. And being vaguely specific, but making sure that you have at least one event to look forward to a month and one year-defining event. So that in 2029, somebody goes, how was your 2024? And you're like, oh, 24. Yeah, that's the year that because I still remember 2019 is the year that I went to Australia, got to hang out with Phil, and we went chocolate shopping and laughed our butts off. And and I got to get up in front of a class and teach and earn the title of international trainer, which had been a goal of mine, of not even so much a goal, a dream. I didn't know how it was going to happen. I didn't know any of the, some of us are like, I gotta know how before I can start. No, you just got to start. And next thing I know, there I am, up in front. And so that was 2019. That was my defining moment, my year defining. And I had, that year was pretty big, but you should have a minimum of one. If you end up knocking down 2 or 3 massive things like that in a year, well, welcome to Overachievers Anonymous, and we're rooting for you. But you may have to do a frame change. You may have to become somebody you haven't been in the past. And when the naysayers come up and start tossing sticks at your feet while you're trying to run the marathon, you have to decide, is it worth holding the frame long enough to win? long enough to be that person you know you can be, you want to be, you decided you're going to be. And we've talked about different masks, just like personalities. We all have multiple personalities. We all have different masks. And sometimes you just want to do something different. I know some people that whenever they're going to travel, they have fun deciding, well, who are we going to be? What's our background? And they will pick something completely different. And sometimes it actually requires them to change their accent. But that's part of their ability to stretch themselves and have as much flipping fun as humanly possible.
Hey, TJ, sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, yeah,
Gotta
Phil.
go. I got nurses coming. Be great, mate. So, thank you, sir. I'll catch up with the rest of it.
So good to see you, my friend. Thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us. Join us anytime, every time.
Yes, I will. Very soon. See you soon. Bye-bye.
All right.
Hello? I'm TJ. Yeah.
What a great guy. What a great guy. Okay, any inputs, ahas, epiphanies on holding the frame? Questions? Anything else? Yes, Lenora.
I love what Jeremy had shared about writing in journals. And I just wanted to share really quickly, one thing TJ had mentioned to me is that when an emotion comes up or when you're inspired to do it as quickly as you can, rather than like, oh, I'll do that later, because that inspiration, that movement, or that emotion might not be there. So if you have the opportunity to write it down in that moment or to take care of something in that moment, to do it in that moment. And I just thought that was really helpful, especially when we're talking about journaling tonight. If you feel the inspired action to do that, absolutely do that as soon as possible.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else before we pick up the last topic of the evening? All right. Who uses who? Ooh. Scooby-Dooby-Dooby-Doo. This one also came up from a triple P because of where they're at in their life, and another graduate of triple P who is living life literally with a lead brick on the throttle. Another female that I'm uber proud of, and is having, by her own admittance, she is living life more than she ever has. She is having so much fun. She is being exactly the person she wants to be everywhere she goes. She has gotten way beyond worrying about what she's going to wear. She wears by her feeling. What do I feel like tonight? Looks at her closet and goes, that. And another one, she met this guy who is another hijack. But she's promised herself she wasn't going to get hijacked into not having her king. And she said, this guy treats her great, better than Another one, best so far. Opens the doors. They go out. When they go out, they have an absolute amazing time. He has some, we're just going to call them character challenges. And that's what keeps him at a jack and not a king. And she said a number of times she felt her old programming stepping in. And she also admitted she is now enjoying the best sex she has ever had in her life. And that's when the old programming really stepped in about, well, good girls don't do that. You don't have sex unless you're in a committed relationship, and she was like, well, who's using who for sex? She goes, I like going to his place. We have a great time. We have amazing sex. And then I go home. And he's like, well, why don't you just stay the night? No, I think I'm going to go home. Well, you get. She goes, I like my home. I like being at home. And that's how, in my mind, in my heart, I know he's not my king. But we go out, we go to concerts, we go to dinners, we do things that I wouldn't be able to enjoy nearly as much by myself. And another one, living during the wait. Holding the frame. I mean, she is doing all three of these to this level. And during Triple P, same thing, constantly meeting guys, best so far, best so far, best so far, best so far, ABT, ABT, ABT. Always be testing, always be testing, always be testing. And realizing, looking back, she's like, you know, someone broke my heart. And I said, yeah, because some of the qualities were so much in line with what you want out of your king. And you could have settled for that little bit of high qualities, but it came with so much baggage that her new self-esteem, her new life, her new future, her would, no, I want it all. And so now she's taking all of the best from each one, adding to her journal, all of the worst from each one, adding to her journal. And her vision constantly, kind of like a pyramid, is constantly rising and getting to that small little pinnacle that's going to be her king. And like I say, she is at this point living a life she never even thought was possible. So That being said, what can we all decide to improve on? Where can we set our GPS for? Not worried about how we're going to get there, when we're going to get there. Living while we're on the way, living during the journey. And when people challenge us, knowing it's going to happen, choosing to hold the frame, because this is for us. And if you get into a situation where you're getting good benefits from somebody, who uses who, and is it really using? If you're giving them benefit, and if you're providing value to their time in the same way that they're providing value in yours, that to me is win-win while still living during the wait. Stop overthinking, stop overguessing, all the above. Be the best you that you can be while you're looking forward and documenting where you're going to that lifestyle. Whether that be a person, the fruition of a business, a title, opportunity, whatever it is, keep moving straight towards it. And any questions, ahas, epiphanies on that before we reach the top of the hour? Holly.
You know me, I've always got to jump in.
Good.
So a couple things that I thought of when you talked about she goes to her closet and decides what she wants to wear based on what she wants to wear. One of the thoughts that came to me is, and also when I go to, my psychological closet and I pull out the mask that I want to wear. And I just kind of started thinking about, it's not that I don't want feedback, but I want feedback from the right people. So, from my tribe, when I find my person and I know they're my person, one of the things is I will trust their opinion. I want their feedback. But still, even when I get that feedback, it doesn't automatically mean I have to take it off. I just weigh that with how I'm currently feeling. What do I want to do? Mixed with also, is the reason I'm getting this feedback just because I haven't worn it frequently enough and I just need to practice wearing it so I can wear it congruently and genuinely? Or is it that this is genuinely a mask that just doesn't work for me? Because the final thought was, before I find my person and I'm still, testing people, I would much rather be rejected for who I really am than be accepted for somebody who I'm not, build an entire relationship, waste a bunch of time just to have who I really am suddenly pop out at the end and get rejected at that point.
Yep.
I'd much rather be accepted for somebody who knows who I really am.
Yep. Amazing point. I'm so glad you brought that up. Absolutely. And one of my squirrels showed up real quick while you were saying that, is you can flip-flop which came first, the chicken or the egg. Which came first, the mask or the outfit? You may have just saw this outfit that caused a feeling in you that you enjoyed, and so you got it. Well, now that you're going to wear that outfit to this certain place, what mask goes with this outfit? Kind of like picking shoes or whatever else to accentuate the outfit. Or you're trying on a new mask and you know what? Tonight, I think I want to be a cross between Indiana Jones, Captain Jack Sparrow, and Robin Williams. So what outfit would I wear for that? And you can flip-flop back before, doesn't matter, as long as you are living the life that you want to live and having a blast doing it, because we're only on this rock in this meat suit for so long, so you might as well, yeah. Speaking of yeehaw, that brings us up to the top of the hour. Time for me to hand my baton over to all of you on the call. If you have any questions or topics or all the above, this is the time to speak up, and don't be the polite squirrel or polite chipmunk. After you, no, after you. I was just going to wait for 5 minutes to see if anybody else had something else before I bring up my question that I've had for 3 weeks now. So, who's going first? We do this every week, kids. I think from now on, I'm gonna make everybody start typing in one question during the first hour, and then I'm gonna read them off.
It should be like you know how when you have a party, like, oh, you bring an appetizer, you bring a dessert, you bring a dish,
Yes.
you bring a question. I did want to feed off of Holly, what she shared was absolutely fantastic, especially with wearing a mask. And we were talking a little bit about boundaries this week. So I had the pleasure of dropping a very firm boundary with people in my life this week. And what I have found out is I could think about it for a really long time. And I'm just like, you know what, rather than me stewing over this, let me just once again state my case in a very firm way that it's not negotiable, what I was sharing. And scorpions do what scorpions do. And I know TJ says that quite a bit. And they will sting you. They will really work hard to sting you. And so I'm talking about, like, I had my eye on the prize, like, you were not going to get me to come off of this topic. And they're still trying to get all these punches in and all these stings in and trying to go off 10 different ways. So rather than extending this conversation that would go on for several days, because I know those types of people, I kept just reiterating, this is what's happening. Okay, I understand you. And being very even keel about it. And I think that is something that's very helpful when we're needing to show people this is the new mask that I'm wearing, and I'm good with it. You might not be good with it, but I'm good with it. And we're going to keep moving along here, and I'm not going to really step down and put my old mask on just because you'll feel better about it. So it was really helpful.
Anybody
I've got a response for that.
Please, yes.
Once again, I know I'm always jumping in, but one of the things I was thinking about boundaries specifically is, it doesn't, boundaries are not up for discussion. Now, they might be up for discussion with someone who has proven that they're respectful of your boundaries, and they just don't understand the boundary, and they say, that sounds a little unfair. Can you explain to me why? But they've earned the right to have that discussion. Because the second you start explaining why and start defending, you've opened up the idea that your boundaries are negotiable, which they absolutely are not. So I had a couple thoughts too with boundaries. Most people will test to see if you mean it, to see if you're serious. And there were two thoughts that came to my mind. I was watching a TV show at Reba, and the daughter in this episode says, at one point, she says, I can live with boundaries. I just have to know what they are. Or I can live with rules. I just have to know what they are. A clearly communicated boundary rule with a clearly communicated consequence. Once they test and they get the consequence, it's done. It's not the discussion. It's the getting the consequence that enforces the boundary. Mm-hmm. And it also reminded me of my, my I call her my niece, but she was testing my boundaries, and she was so mad at me when I came down on her and enforced the boundary the first time. But you know what? After I did it a couple times, she realized she was in an area where the rules were clearly communicated. And all of a sudden, she was so happy to be in this place where she understood what was going on and knew how to get what she wanted. And she was happier because she was getting, I made her go to bed was the first one. But she was getting good sleep, she was eating healthy, she was exercising, she was doing the things that were healthy, and that also made her happier. So, even though I think one of the things to keep in mind when you're establishing a new you and you're establishing new boundaries is with most people, yes, they're going to throw a fit, that temper tantrum, whatever, the first time you communicate the boundary, and maybe even the first time that you do the consequences. But if you are consistent, even they will usually be happier because they know exactly what to expect from you. And it's not going to get to the point where they're, poking you, and then one day you blow up on them and they didn't see it coming. And so most people are happier with boundaries, even if they do test it up front. And it's good to remember that when they're in the testing phase.
Awesome points.
So right on with that. Holly and Lenora, both fantastic. It goes with sympathy and empathy. And when instead of saying, I understand where you're coming from, you can say, I can appreciate where you're coming from. And then you don't take it on. It's like, oh, I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that. I do sales. And someone says, oh, I can't afford that. Well, I can appreciate you can't afford that. However, this is why you should go forward with what we're showing you. So right on, though. You guys both rock.
Yep. Great point. Appreciate that, Mike. Another thing that popped up when you bring that out, what are another way to look at boundaries? Boundaries are major building blocks to your values and criteria foundation. In fact, some of them are almost like an iceberg. People may see and hear your boundary, your values and criteria part that builds up that boundary. They may never understand how deep it is, how set it is, and why it was built that way. And they don't have to. It's your values and criteria. And that's why we say one of the easiest ways to get rid of somebody, figure out their values and criteria and violate them. And that's why you set boundaries going, no, you don't cross this line. You don't do this, you don't. And if you do, if you violate my criteria, my values and criteria enough, adios, namas, gotta go. Well, what? Yeah, no, what? No. When I said XYZ, what I meant was XYZ. Well, what about? No. XYZ. This is me. Well, before, yeah, well, that was then, this is now. There was a point in my life when I didn't know how to operate a spoon. Figured that out. There was a point when I would have possibly been talked into what you're promoting. Not now. Things have changed. Here's the line in the sand. Please don't cross it. There will be trouble. Kind of goes right back to holding the frame, right? And learning the value of communication. That's why I'm so glad that Michael brought that up, is there are so many different ways to say so many different things. And as agents of change, we need to become a certain level of wordsmith. Because in doing that, it gives us the power to reframe things that need to be reframed. Anybody else want to add to this while we're on this?
Hey, how's everyone doing? I
Hey.
am, I'm in, can you hear me?
Yep, we can.
Okay, good. I'm in an Asian restaurant, so you can hear the Asian music in the background. Sorry about that. But no, well, yeah. Um, but I think this is something that I really need to take to heart, not only to define my boundaries, but to become in a mind or a mental position to be able to be aware that they are being pushed instead of the past of not being able to push back or whatever. I have a history of just going along to get along, and this is going to be a new foundation for me to stand on. And then also having the willpower and the constitution to be able to stand up for myself and define what needs to be done and reinforce that. So um, just bringing that up to the table. And so, but thank you.
And remember, you build your tribe. And people are put into our life. When first time I heard this, for a reason, a season, or a lesson. And you get to look at these people and go, you know what? Maybe you were only supposed to be in my life for 2 days, 6 minutes, 30 seconds, or 60 years. But as I evolve, I'll figure that out along the way. But just like I always say, airplane rule, what's the airplane rule? When the oxygen mask drops down, you are first. Because if you pass out, you are not only not a help to anybody else, you're a burden to others. Because somebody else who grabbed that oxygen mask, slapped it on, now has to look at you going, hey. So this is a good year for you to be top priority. Holly, got your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. Loving everything everybody's saying, and it keeps triggering more thoughts. A couple more things about boundaries. So the first one is, I think it's, for me, the best YouTube video Matthew Hussey ever did. He talks about, with boundaries, be sweet in your tone and, oh gosh, sour with your, I can't remember exactly what he said now. But basically, the way you talk should be sweet, but ruthless, I think it is, in with your boundaries. He says most people get this backwards. They are ruthless in their tone and sweet with their boundaries. In other words, they say, for example, say somebody's always calling you at 1 a.m. and you really need to sleep to go to work or something. So you get on and you just start yelling at them because you finally had enough, because you've told them 100 times, don't call me at this time unless it's an emergency, and it's not an emergency. And then what happens is next time they call, you answer again. And the reason why you're so mad, he was saying in the moment, is because you know next time you're going to answer again. You know you're not going to enforce your boundary in the future which is what pisses you off in the moment.
Hmm.
And he says, you know what you do is you say, I've already communicated this boundary. First of all, I'm not going to answer, but if I do answer and it's not an emergency, I might mention, just so you know, it's important for me to sleep at night. I will not be answering my phone in the future, even for emergencies. You better call somebody else. But, I hope you have a good day. And I always, so you're able to stay sweet because next time you're going to enforce your boundary. So it's very ruthless, very precise in enforcing the boundary. And part of the reason I was thinking this is because, if we're talking about keeping our state, the last thing we need to do is be wasting all of our energy that could be going into state control, defending ourselves, yelling at them. That's where we burn up all of our SRUs, our self-regulating units, is in that anger.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you just, very calmly, very sweetly hold to your rules. And that's the thing too, is once you enforce the boundary, you don't make them feel guilty about it, because they violated the boundary. They got the appropriate response. It's over now. I don't need to, the next 5 times you call me at the right time and you now start respecting my boundary, I don't need to bring up the time that you messed up. And then the other thing that it just kind of brought to my mind, in studying Systema, it was mentioned many, many times, but the very first time I was doing it, I couldn't do it. Wasn't getting any results. Thought I just didn't understand anything. And then who was it? Somebody pointed out to me that I was breaking the cardinal rule. I was not maintaining my structure. And this is true whether it's an emotional boundary or a physical boundary. The second you get out of structure, you let them get you out of structure, you lose.
Yep.
But I changed that one thing and all of a sudden everything else started working for me. And so that's the thing too, is you remember when somebody's trying to push your boundary, do not let them get you out of structure. Stay calm, stay firm, stay in structure, and you will win every time.
Awesome sauce. And while you were talking about that, first thing that popped in my head was ring, ring, ring. Yeah? Are you on fire or are you bleeding? Neither? Look up The Boy Who Cried Wolf. This was your second one. Hope you don't die. Anybody recognize that reference? How many times did the boy cry wolf? Yep. And then finally nobody wanted to put up with him when nobody believed him. The wolf showed up and ate him. End of story, dead. And that can be, figuratively. You do this a couple more times and you will be dead in my kingdom. You will no longer have a place. Michael.
I couldn't raise my hand. I'm like, I don't know how to raise my hand. I just thought to raise my hand.
Yep, we allow that here.
Real quick with Holly and Michael, both. And this goes hand in hand with what you're saying. And apologize. Like when somebody makes an apology, or you apologize to somebody and say, hey, I'm sorry. Or they say it, you have to tie it down. And if somebody accepts your apology, then it needs to be let go, because the heaviest thing in life to carry is a grudge. And so you don't bring it back up, and it kind of fits with what you're saying. I got sidetracked. I apologize. I got twisted with trying to raise my hand.
No, we call that squirrels.
Yes.
My squirrels have squirrels.
So, well, cool stuff. Thank you, guys.
Well, that leaves us with 40 minutes left. So now you guys are catching on to how this works. Anybody got, are we good on this topic? Anybody got a new question, topic, stuff? No. Yes, Lenora, please.
So I recently came up with my own protocol, and I'm pretty excited about it. And it kind of goes hand in hand with boundaries. So the protocol that I came up with, especially feeding off of TJ's watch how many foxes you give. And to also care enough about your emotions. So quite literally, care. C for compassion, A for awareness, R for reframe, and E for empowerment. And of the times that I'm explaining this to people, I often say, pick a moment of negative self-talk that's occurring. And especially when you're having a boundary break that's coming up. So even if you're thinking about it, have compassion for yourself. Who else do you need to come in to talk to this part of you that needs compassion? What else might they say? Why is this negative self-talk going on? What else is occurring? Have the awareness, raise your awareness, and be curious about how this started, when it started, and how you can start to shift it as you start to reframe it. So as you start to notice these other characteristics, you're playing with the picture. And as you do, notice the picture that came up when you're in compassion. Notice the picture that came up and how it shifted as it moves into awareness, as you're reframing the entire experience. And then empowerment being to pace it forward, to create that future memory of what this will now look like. And it actually weaves in, as this picture is shifting, you can weave in color breathing and move that color through your body and reestablish safety in the nervous system, but also you're shifting, you're getting a different perspective, you're getting these insights, and you're getting this resolve that you need. And then you're creating that next interaction with them in the best way possible and building on that. So I just wanted to share that with you all.
Awesome. Anybody got any comments on that? Questions for Lenora? Come on, kids. We got 48 minutes left, or 38 minutes left.
I don't know if Mark was raising his hand.
I didn't either.
That's
So-
awesome, Lenora.
Yeah.
Could you again go over it again? I'm a little slow. I got the
You're not
irony, but
slow. I'm
Wow.
going to do you one better. I'm going to put the image of it in the chat. I
Okay.
actually have this ready to go for Orlando this weekend. So if anybody's going to the Orlando conference, come visit. I'll
Very
put it
good.
in our chat. Yes.
And while she's doing that, I hope you guys are all working on your next question or topic to bring up so we can keep rolling.
I actually did have a question. I had several. I was going to ask, man, as I can't find this fast enough, I was going to ask, open to the group, who are some of your favorite mentors? Who are some of your favorite people that you like to hear from? And what are they sharing that really resonates you and moves you?
Deep question.
Very.
Who wants to dive in first?
Several. Now, first of all, back to breathing colors. That was pretty awesome because that's deep stuff. Schwarzenegger is one of my all-time guys, because I mean he came to America with like $10 and he lived his goal. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. He was a multimillionaire before he was an actor. I mean, he did everything precise and with a plan. It was really cool.
Everybody else?
No, Holly really likes Matthew Hussey.
Okay. So I don't know if Mark's gonna go. I didn't even think of Matthew Hussey when you said that. I should have though. Obviously, I think David Snider probably goes on most of our lists, since that's how a lot of us found each other. Somebody that is huge on my list is Victor Frankle. And I will say, what's this book that most people read is Man's Search for Meaning, I think it is. It's a great book, but his other books are even better. And I will say, when I read his book, it feels like every single sentence, I feel like I'm getting a download from the universe that goes on top of the sentence that I just read. And he has so much compassion, but also everything he's been through has taught him so much. I mean, to reframe being in a concentration camp, you can't test your reframing any more than that. Like, I mean, obviously I've got people like Jordan Peterson I'm a huge fan of him. Just his courage and his thoughtfulness. I love how, you could tell everything he says, he doesn't speak without thinking something through very thoroughly. And I really appreciate anybody who would do that. Geez, I'm sure I have plenty of others. Those are just the ones that came immediately. I mean, obviously I have my religious people, put Christ on there, even like Buddha. I think a lot of these people have a lot of wisdom that I've only touched the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, on it. Yeah, I'll think if I could think of somebody else.
Good stuff. Who else? All right, fine. I'll go then. My list of mentors is huge. And I'm going to start out with my mom. Yep, Mom, love you, Mom, because she always, didn't matter how crazy an idea I came up with, she was like, okay, I'm here for you. And even now, she logs in and watches these, and so love you, Mom. But growing up in the village that I did and being raised by that village, even there, the mentors that I had, the things that I know, some of you and I try to be humble and I want to be humble, but the amount of different things that I know aren't because I'm this massive bookworm studying stuff. I've been blessed with so many people that were willing to pour into me. David Snider, I didn't search him out and I didn't pay him to teach me. I had a talent that he needed, and he had information that I didn't know I needed. In fact, I was one that told him his audio sucked. And that's basically how we got started into this whole ordeal on, this is why I know you guys. Like it was brought up. We have that in common. But I've been blessed in that way, so many ways, through so many different people around the world. And I think in some ways it's almost a lost art. And I think a lot of people don't even recognize it when it's in front of their face. I think it's easier for us because we are a little more enlightened, open-minded, and understand that. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the people that I've met through here are a little more open-minded than the majority of the people that I've met. So just wanted to throw that out as well.
Well, I can second TJ's. My mom was, my best friend growing up, but she had so much wisdom that I still find myself using momisms every day. My sister, she's 10 years older than me, and I call her my Mycroft, which is Sherlock Holmes' smarter brother, sibling. And whenever I have a quandary. She's very religious. She finds a lot of solace through religion. And whenever I'm in a quandary, like I said, I can talk to her and she can give me an insight. It's weird that we've both followed different paths, but we've kind of come to source in the, from different directions. And a lot of our, wisdom seems to align. John Masters, love you, John.
Yep.
Taught me a lot. And just some of my mentors. My best friend in college, Jim Wilkins, he was, he kind of took me under his wing and gave me so much wisdom and, just how to be a man and how to walk through this world, just helping people. He used to call it, doctoring, when he would go and listen to people and help them, and really inspired me, I think, along the path that I'm on. So those are just the tip of the iceberg as far as all the mentors, that I've had along the way.
And I while you were bringing that up, scroll dropped by another idea. I'm also grateful for all the anti-mentors that I had. The people that I was able to witness going, wow, I don't want to be anything like you. Even the ones that were very successful, but the people in town didn't have time for them, didn't want to be around them unless they had to, or unless they needed something from them. And to me, that was the anti-mentor that made me go, wow, you got what I would think to be success, but it cost your soul, and the people around you can't stand you. So I wanted to bring that up as well.
Yeah, those anti-mentors, they're dominating, controlling, sarcastic, and egocentric. And, and when you run into one of them, it's like, yeah, no, that's not where, who I want to be, So it helps you in that way, saying, I never want to be recognized as being controlling or dominating or sarcastic or egocentric. So, yep, those anti-mentors can teach you a lot.
In fact, that brought up a lyric from a song about I had a friend, I watched him burn himself up on bourbon and speed, but I was smarter than that and I could choose, learned how to talk like the man on the 6 o'clock news. And it was his little deal of, I decided I needed to be better and move forward. And I love that Holly has been posting a lot of great people that those of you watching live and those of you that are watching the recording aren't privy to being able to see. And it brought up a little idea of some of the people that you brought up, Holly, at one point would have been considered just normal people. In fact, for all we know, some of them died thinking they were just normal people without realizing the impact that they had on the world. The number of lives that they changed, and their ability to be considered a mentor. You know, there's some very famous people in history that they didn't hit it big until well after they were dead. And, you know, you can argue which was better. So that's another little thought.
That's a good point.
but-
Yes.
What's that?
I just said that's a really good point.
So I think it also, with that in mind, I wanted to point out, you know, we just got to live our best run at this, because we don't know what we're capable of, even past our end of days. Sometimes you build a machine that you built it for yourself. Lo and behold, somebody goes, the world needs that. And the rest, as they say, is history. Or her story. I'm not sure whose story it is, but as long as it's been shared down the line. So, yes, Lenora.
I have been listening to quite a bit of Bashar lately, and I find it very interesting. I don't know, have any of you heard of Bashar?
Yeah.
Okay. It's Daryl Aker, I think is his name, and he gets this download of information from this entity that he refers to as Bashar, and it's pretty interesting. And I find it, I don't even know when he started to develop this skill, but when I first started listening to things on YouTube many moons ago, Abraham Hicks was one of the first people that I had come across, and there was so much discord in my body that I could not explain what the bananas was going on, because I could get it, and then it would like explode into chaos. And I was getting so frustrated, and I didn't understand that this information that I was getting was quite literally causing more of a war zone within me. And this one thing that Bashar had recently said, because I know I had mentioned a couple of times, and I have gotten much better, but just like, even as I'm telling you, 2 hours ago, I heard this line, not even. And one was a piece of information where they had indicated that your higher self, this other version of you, this being that you're talking with, standing on a mountain, and they have great perspective. They can see the playing field. They got all this information, and you're down here. And to trust them in this, from this view, trust this information that you're getting. And what I had heard, at least, and I can't even tell you if this is the exact thing that I heard, but this is the information that I got. And somebody put in, is he the bald Chandler? Yes, he is. And he had said, it's you. It's you talking to you. This is you. And I thought, well, if that's me, then why have I been so untrustworthy of me? And just the way that he had framed it was really, really powerful for me in this whole shift. So I love listening to all these other people that you guys are sharing with, because my other question is, can we have a conversation about mirrors? Because I don't quite understand the concept of mirrors. Yes, I get that we're a reflection of each other. Where's the line? Is it all mirrors? I need some clarification. So any guidance you guys have on this one is very helpful, and I appreciate it.
Pardon me, real quick. A squirrel dropped off what you were talking about with Bashar, as far as the vision of you being up here, directing you through the maze down here. That, to me, also kind of correlates right along with future pacing and and drawing out your goals, your visions, and things of that nature. Because to me, that's almost like creating the person on the mountain. And you have to trust, almost like GPS. GPS won't take you anywhere if you give it something vague. You can try it right now. Go out in your car and go, take me someplace happy. And unless you've programmed what happy means to you, man, you could end up at Chuck E. Cheese because a sixth grader said, "Ooh, happy, we're going to Chuck E. Cheese." Yeah! But you also have to understand that when you're following those directions and you're getting these downloads, it's also just like GPS, because you're going, no, I got to go right there. The building's right there. I can see it right there. All I got to do is turn. I'm going to turn down this road because GPS is telling me I've still got another 3/4 of a mile to go before I turn. The building's right there. And you turn and realize that road is a dead end 12 blocks away from the building that you're trying to get to. And you couldn't see it because you were over there, but you were fighting the GPS, the gut feeling, your three brain telling you da 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 da. Well, I don't understand why I've got to go all the way down there, because you don't have that perspective up there. You can't see that you got to go 3/4 of a mile, take a left, go under the bridge, under the railroad tracks, over the bridge that goes over the river, and then make your way back to the building where you want to go, that you can see the entire time that you're driving, which would be your goal. Does that make sense? Does that help anybody? Speaking of seeing, good to see you, Sabo.
Yeah, dude.
So good to see you, brother. So good to see you. How are you? Feeling better?
I am.
Yes, and he is.
Legs are
Sorry.
still attached, still doing good. So life is up and running good.
Blessings to you, brother, and love, and thank you for doing this again.
Well,
I had a question, or I had a comment about, you mentioned, like you said, mentors, and that's what we're talking about, Savo. And Lenora said something about your higher self. Now, are we drawn to our mentors, or are our mentors drawn to us because our higher self sorts through all the possible mentors we could have and becomes, attracted to people that can help us along the way? Is your higher self, sorting and sifting and say, oh, well, let's send her, let's get her in touch with this guy, and maybe the mentor, maybe we draw our mentors to ourselves, or a higher self does that for us. Just a thought.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's why I keep pushing my students and my clients to have their journal of their tribe. Your tribe isn't just about buddy buddies and my bestie besties. Your tribe should challenge you. Your tribe should include mentors. Your tribe should include people that are going to raise you up. I've said it many times. When you find yourself being the smartest person in the room, congratulations, time to change rooms. Bless them, go back and visit every now and then, check in on them, but find that room where you walk in and you're just like, ooh, okay, different level, let's play. And ride that journey. I don't know, I can't tell you guys how many times I've walked into situations where I'm like, yeah, I'm a little behind the curve on this one. I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm really liking this. And, it doesn't take long to decide, is this a permanent place? Are these people, like I said earlier, a reason, a season, or a lesson? Sometimes that room is nothing more than a lesson. Sometimes that room is a season. It can be a short season, or it can be your entire life. And that's why I've also pointed out, you don't have to have a tribe. We never have just a tribe. We have tribes. You've got your work tribe, you've got your family tribe, you've got your childhood tribe. You guys are one of my favorite tribes. But you also have to have that future tribe, or the ingredients of that future tribe, so that just like Mark pointed out, did your higher self find your mentor? Well, it's a lot easier if you're being aware of what you're looking for. And so in building that, constantly building on that journal of your tribe along with your other tribes, and right with what Holly brought up earlier, my future me tribe, absolutely huge, monstrous. Make sure that that is all built in there. I'm so glad that we brought up mentors, because that can be totally life-changing. I've said, I don't know how many times I've said it on here, I know you guys have heard it. We are all one event away from an entirely different life. One hello from an entirely different life. One seat next to another person away from an entirely different life. One criticism of somebody's sound system away from an entirely different life. I know. I've been through it a number of times. And that also lets you know, unless you end up stranded on a deserted island and you're the only person on that island, it's easy to meet people. Hi is a great start. And that can be that person could be a reason, season, or a lesson. Or it can be practice on learning how to say hi to somebody that you don't know yet. And I know you guys know that I'm extremely shy. I have a hard time meeting people. I've met some amazing people in the last 4 days. Holly.
So I'm not sure if I misheard it or heard it right, but either way, I think it kind of applies. I think Lenora was talking about the concept of mirrors as well. And I was just kind of thinking about, and it's kind of already been alluded to, but in the Initiation into Hermetics book, he talks about having your white mirror and your black mirror, or your light mirror and your dark mirror. And these are where, you put all of the positive things about yourself, go on the light mirror, the white mirror, and then all the things that, want to be changed, go on that dark mirror. And this gets into a lot of, facing our shadow, going down and facing that side of ourselves. But I think that is a lot of too with mentors in our lives, the ones that, whether they find us or we find them, which I think both happen. If we're paying attention, we are going to see those parts of our shadow self popping up, and it might be the good mentors, or as we discussed, it might be the anti-mentors that come into our lives that show us something about ourselves we want to change too. That's definitely on the dark mirror, but I think it's also important for us in our lives to look at the people in our lives, the mentors, the friends, the tribe, and give ourselves credit for the white mirror, the light mirror as well. And look at those, things in the people around us that reflect back. And I say, I love that aspect of, and I'm just looking around this room, I could think of basically every single person in here. I could see things that I absolutely adore about every one of you. And I mean, I love that part. And it's not about me taking it from you, but there are moments where it's like, oh, I wonder if I have a little bit of that in me. And if I don't, I wonder if I hang around them long enough, if it could become a part of me, if I can learn to model that better.
Yep.
So anyway, just a couple.
Great point. Appreciate that. And as Holly reminded us, Lenora had just brought up another topic of mirrors before I had to drop my ideal on this. So any Lenora, are you still there? There she is.
Was I answering the question or was I asking the question?
You had brought up the question of mirrors, and I
yeah.
couldn't remember exactly how you had phrased it, so I was wondering if you could ask it again now that we've gone.
I like what Holly was sharing. I never heard that about dark mirrors and light mirrors, and I thought, and when there are people in my life that are sharing characteristics that, thankfully, I don't particularly feel they're very active in me. Yes, I have the ability to be that dark, and I have the ability to be that hurtful. I choose not to be. I choose to say, I don't want to be that type of person. And when we have mirrors in our life that are like that, is it showing us that we have that ability and we get to exercise the choice to move it forward? I guess that's where I'm getting a little fuzzy. So any thoughts on the mirror situation is great.
Who's got some input for Lenora, please?
Well, I would just say, if you really want to look at it, it's not easy. But if you're committed, then notice where you're triggered, and then look at the reflection.
Would you consider, I guess, so rather than calling mirrors, could you just call it shadow work?
Well, it's all one, really. Everything affects everything else. So shadow work is a big part of that. Interesting metaphor of mirrors being dark and light, and somewhere in between, all different shades of gray. And what Foley brought up, I like that. I think I'm going to write that down.
I think Lenora has a good point that it's all choice, that whatever's reflected back to you is information, and what you choose to do with it and how you choose to interpret it, and whether it inspires you, whether the dark side, in inverted commas, inspires you to kick yourself into action, that's great. So, and again, the dark side very often is the unaccepted side of yourself. And there's a lot of richness underneath that. Why is it there? What happened to make that difficult? And there's a whole ocean of potential healing in the difficult stuff. And sort of going back to the tribes aspect, And I think the diversity that TJ was alluding to about having different tribes, the more tribes you do have, the stronger you tend to be as a person. So if the poop happens in one area, you've got other areas. This just happened to a relative of mine that a disaster happened. They had a fairly narrow focus in their life of their group of friends, and a disaster happened in that area, and they were left very isolated and challenged with resources. So I think as a life lesson, it's really good to have multiple tribes if you can. Don't have all your eggs in one basket, because you're a stronger person, you have more resources and more resilience. And that's my meaning of life.
Can I say something? Building on what Laura asked and what Holly added to is, if you know, and speaking of mirrors, if you're going to, you know, if you're looking at yourself in the white mirror, in the good mirror, and again, maybe that mirror has to be shattered to let in the good energy, the white light, and you know, if you so you get to a point where, you know, you want to move beyond just the reflection of self, and to shatter that mirror, to let that, you know, that source energy encompass you.
Playing on what Mark brought up, what if it were a stained glass window? Because we have so many different parts of who we are and what make us up. And I'm glad that, you know, Fran, thank you for pointing that out. Yes, I know a number of people that their interaction, their tribe, like you pointed out, is so small that if something infects that, they don't have many places to go. I'm blessed. I got tribes. My tribes have tribes, and I got stuff all over the place, and I'm building new tribes all the time. And I think it's a muscle, just like anything else, that you have to learn how to flex and get stronger and get more agile with, which is why I have my people write their journal on their tribes. Because as you observe people, you can start asking yourself, is that somebody that I would want in a tribe? And who would they get along with, and who would I want to share them with? Now, I've people know that I've been in network marketing before, and when you're building a team with network marketing, they teach you to be selective about what side you put new people on. What do they have in common? What can they easily build rapport on? Because that'll build a team faster. Well, it's also the same when you're looking at what would I want in a new tribe? What kind of things would I look for them to congeal together as a tribe, whether that's through me or not? If I'm the newbie, what do I want to bring to the tribe, and what do I want to see in the tribe? If I'm starting a new tribe, what do I want to add, and what kind of a tribe do I want to build? You know, you can have your fitness workout tribe. You can have your corporate coaching tribe. You can have your mindset tribe. You can, Fran.
Now I've just lost my whole point. I was got carried away with what you were saying. That's dreadful. That's just embarrassing.
No, because trust me, when your squirrels have squirrels, it doesn't take much for them to go, "Did you bring the sign? No. Why are we here? I know we had a sign." Been there many times. Maybe it was because your squirrels noticed that unfortunately time has flown once again, and we're at the top of the second hour, just like that. Which means that sadly I have to do this again, where I say time's up, and it's been amazing. Thank for all this. I tell you what, this one, there have been a couple of really cool things. Fran, I don't know if you know it. For the first 45 minutes, we had Phil with us, live in person on camera. And so, yeah, what this has been a blessed triple T. And I am so honored to have invested these 2 hours with you guys. And I say it all the time. Thank you for sharing your very precious commodity of time, because it's something I wish I could reproduce and give back to you in abundance, but I can't. So for you to invest it here on this platform with everybody, and we don't even know whose life we've affected because it's being recorded. So thank you. For those of you watching out on the live stream, love you, Mom. And for those of you watching the recording, thank you for your time. Please do all the YouTube stuff. Click subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment on other people's comments, and then comment on your comments again. It doesn't cost you anything, but it does help me out a little bit. And until next week, go out and live the fullest that you can figure out how to live. Have a blast. Try new things. Make people smile. Make the world a better place, because my world is better because you guys are in it. Oh, we can talk right now, because Phil's going to watch this. Phil's doing pretty darn good, and he's got a good, strong mindset, so we're all rooting for him.
Very cool. Thanks.
You're welcome. Trust me, he was waiting when I turned it on. I was like, bing, there he is. And so, yes, we had a great chat. Phil, when you watch this again, be on here more often. We love you, man. Other than that, love you guys. Have an awesome week. See you next time.
You too. Good stuff. Thanks.
Thank you.